All right, you already know the deal. We're here to recap and discuss Warrior Episode 5. It seems like everyone really enjoyed the character arc format we did for episodes 2 through 4, so let's stick with that for this video as well. We'll cover the major character storylines for this episode. Damon's going to jump in with discussion points. Crazy shit went down in this episode, so no time to waste. We're going to start with Young Jun. Young Jun starts off in a Chinese deportation camp, which is a new thing started by Buckley. He's still mangled from the beating Atwood gave him, and even though Young Jun was actually born in America, the guards don't give a fuck, so it looks like he'll be sent to China soon, a place that he's actually never been to before. At the camp, Jun ends up meeting a dude named Si Chen, who has been at the camp for several weeks. At first, Si Chen seems to be honored to meet the leader of the Hop Way.
No, it's just you're the leader of the Hop Way. It's an honor, you know?
He says he's got some bunks staked out and some tobacco, and he invites Young Jun to come join him and some of the guys. However, it's a setup. Si Chen reveals that his father was a tailor in Chinatown, and when unforeseen circumstances prevented him from being able to make payments to the Hop Way, they trashed his shop. A bunch of the other guys in the room also have similar stories of getting hurt by the Hop Way, so they surround Young Jun and jump his ass. Jun is a solid fighter though, and he manages to mangle a few of his attackers, but he's still ultimately beaten up and beaten unconscious and probably would have died until the guards came in and broke up the fight. Jun then wakes up to find none other than Father Jun taking care of him. He's fucking back. He's returned.
He's back! He's back!
Apparently after Father Jun left the Tong, he went up north and was in awe of the open land. He stayed with some Chinese ranchers, but some white guys with guns showed up to kick them out. A battle broke out, and Father Jun ended up being put in this deportation camp. Father Jun tells Young Jun that he's happy to see him, though, which is kind of a nice moment. Young Jun then asks Father Jun what's going to happen if they get sent back to China, and Father Jun basically says nothing good.
We either die quick at the hands of enemies, or slow through disease and starvation.
Father Jun would rather die than go back to China, so he hands Young Jun some shards of shrapnel that can be used as knives. The plan is to kill as many guards as possible and make a break for it when they're being herded onto the boat. Fortunately, Sahm ends up making that deal with Mai Ling, and right as both father and son are about to go on a suicide mission, they get bailed out by Mai Ling's private investigator, Clyde. Although the deal was just for Young Jun to be released, he refuses to go unless Father Jun also comes with him, so both of them get saved. They return to Chinatown where Father Jun actually bows to Sahm. Young Jun needs to get himself some whiskey and sticky first to feel right again.
Whiskey and sticky.
When Young Jun finds out the deal Sahm made with Mai Ling, he's fucking pissed off, but Sahm counters by saying Young Jun fucked himself. If he didn't act emotional and brash towards the police chief, he would have never been thrown in jail, and Sahm wouldn't have had to make that deal in the first place. Sahm is ultimately right, and he reminds Young Jun that he could have let him get taken away instead and run the Tong himself. Tough to argue against that even if you're Young Jun.
All right, full disclosure here, Chen and I may or may not have made some slightly inaccurate predictions last time out about the status of the leadership amongst the Tongs after we saw these Mai Ling and Young Jun arrests. We'd like to offer a sincere apology. However, we did warn you that we are just some guys who like to shoot the shit about Warrior. For that reason, we cannot be held liable for any of it in the court of law. Read the fine print. Questions about Young Jun. What moves does he actually have left here? I mean, there's no way he's cool with that deal that was in place, obviously. But he's also sort of squandered any chance he has at any other pathways. Hopefully some of the lessons have started to sink in. The Tong needs a true leader now more than ever. There are some huge implications for Father Jun coming back to Chinatown. The man, the myth, the legend, in honor of this return, here's a Father Jun tribute montage for your eyes only.
The other day I was making my rounds when I seen the perfect spot to head up. No, I'm talking like the perfect spot. So let me tell you what I did.
Wait a minute, I was mobbing on the low-low. Masked up, I was creeping on my solo. Looking for the stash, where it at? Marco Polo saw the grip. Man, they got a bolo, do they got a bolo? I've been staking all week, I've been waiting all week. They've been gone like all weekend. Yeah, hit the drop and don't speak. Toss out what we don't keep. Got the burner on me, if they want that drama.
Listen, if you found yourself in Vegas and you were in a casino and you found a spot that would let you place bets on Warrior Season 3 outcomes, and if you were down to your last dollar at that moment, place it on Father Jun playing a huge role in the Hopway's trajectory by the season's end. I mean, we've been saying Young Jun is dope and all, but he's a complete child for a while now. I think Father Jun either saves the day or brokers some sort of move that takes power away from Mai Ling. I hope so anyways. Not a sure thing whatsoever, but scary money don't make money. As a side note, although it's part of America's history, shout out to the Warrior writing and production team for actually including stuff like the deportation centers in the work. The historical fiction aspect of this show has made it absolutely one of a kind, but it also produces these profound storytelling results. With this show, it honestly feels like a lot of forgotten aspects of history are revived, and it's super important when media revisits stuff like this. However, it is tough to watch Young Jun get Andy Dufresne. You knew he shouldn't have gone in that room, though.
All right, let's cover a Sahm storyline now. He starts out the episode with Hong staking out the deportation center where Young Jun is being held. They want to bail Young Jun out, but security is way too tight and the guards can't be bought. Sahm and Hong even kidnap and torture one of the guards to try and get intel, but he actually holds strong. Hong wants the entire Tong to attack the deportation center to free Young Jun, which, come on, would be a really stupid fucking idea. The Tong would either all die or they would all get deported. Sahm tells Hong that they need to put the Tong first. He finally realizes why the Hopway didn't bail him out of jail when he was arrested back in season 1. Putting the Tong first means individual members may sometimes have to suffer for the greater good. Ultimately, Sahm goes to Mai Ling and asks for help in freeing Young Jun. Sahm knows that Mai Ling has bought herself some serious connections, which is how she got him out of jail in the first place. Sahm tries to throw down a ton of fake cash, but Mai Ling isn't stupid. She wants half of all of the Hopway's businesses moving forward, thereby making the Hopway and Longzi partners. In return, the Longzi will provide a safe space for the Hopway to print cash. Sahm isn't happy about the deal, but it's the only way to free Young Jun.
Or Young Jun can take his chances in China.
Also during the episode, we see Sahm talk to Yenmi. Yenmi is upset that the Secret Service raided her father's shop and that he needs to move the plates out of her room ASAP. Sahm says he's working on it and he tries to tell her that he won't let anything happen to her, but both Yenmi and Sahm know that he can't guarantee her protection. Chao also meets with Sahm during episode 5, and he lets Sahm know that word is out that the cops have been raiding businesses in Hopway territory to look for fake cash. If Happy Jack finds out, he'll put 2 and 2 together and come after the Hopway. Chao has a plan though. So ultimately, Sahm storyline ends with him reminding Young Jun that he saved his ass when he really shouldn't have. Their relationship has to be at an all-time low right now.
Where is Sahm actually going to end up at these crossroads that he keeps on walking up and down and not really picking a path upon? It's time for him to seize some kind of control here, especially after showing that heart pulling off the Young Jun deal. I don't know what that means, but I've got a feeling that some sort of Dark Knight move is going to be pulled here. Instead of Rachel Dawes and Harvey Dent, the choice is going to be between a future with Yan Mi and the Hopway's survival as a Tong. These two realities just don't coexist at this point, but that's just my take. This is just kind of how gangster genres work in general. Not that this is a typical gangster genre, but it does have some similar archetypes to it. The move that he helped to pull Young Jun shows a lot, and it's a key difference between he and Mai Ling at this point, right? Without that deal, Young Jun and Father Jun were going to head for that. We fought the good fight, borderline sacrificial ending here, though it would have been pretty badass in the meantime. Is there any situation in which Mai Ling would truly put the Tong over herself? Like, would she have made that deal for Li Yong if he was in prison? I don't think so. I mean, the trade was pretty lopsided in general too. Plus, the Hopway weren't exactly on the rise.
All right, now it's time to move over to the Long Z, starting with Mai Ling. Mai Ling's storyline this episode is absolutely wild. She starts the episode off naked in a holding cell being sprayed with cold ass water. Eventually her blackmail photo of Buckley is enough to get her a meeting with Big Buck. Buck now has the photo and he basically could have just screwed her over right there. It's not like they had copy machines back then. But Mai Ling has one more leverage play up her sleeve. If Buckley deports both Mai Ling and Young Jun, then both the Hopway and Longzi will be leaderless and war will break out. Mai Ling says that she'll help prevent war and keep peace long enough for Buckley to win the election. Once he's mayor, she'll crush the Hopway and they'll split the profits. This gets Buckley to agree and he releases her back into Chinatown. Mai Ling's return, however, isn't greeted warmly by the Tong. The elders are losing faith in her as a leader, and Li Yong basically tells Mai Ling that they'll have to meet and discuss whether she should continue as leader. Mai Ling went behind the entire Tong's back by trying to make an investment deal with Eliza and Bernard. She took 1/3 of the Tong's entire cash reserves, and now that money is gone forever. That's such crazy boldness by Mai Ling. She clearly doesn't give a fuck about the Tong. As mentioned earlier, Mai Ling then makes the deal with the Sahm to free Young Jun. The extra revenue from the deal should help the Longzi recoup the money that Mai Ling lost, but once again, Mai Ling made this deal on her own, going behind Li Yong's back. This hurts Li Yong a lot, but Mai Ling pulls one more manipulative move on him. She says he's the only person she's ever loved, and she wants to get married. Li Yong is happy and agrees. Jesus Christ, Mai Ling is so fucking manipulative.
Her whole thing has been quite the roller coaster ride here. Are the elders actually going to step in and stop her from keeping full control, even though she pulled off the hot boy compromise? They got to do something, because even if she's making a little bit of money for them then, her overall selfishness has really asserted itself in the past couple episodes. Like you were saying, like, goddamn, a third of the entire, like, you're about to give this guy a third of your overall wealth? It's clear that her ego is not going to rest either. That look on her face when she's basically groveling to Buckley was nauseating, if not some good acting. If she consolidates all of Chinatown, she's basically just a puppet for whatever doctrine Buckley wants to pass along. Her rise has been really impressive, can't deny that, but I think things have almost run their course here. Yong better wise up. Small shout out here though, good acting performance by Diane Dong when she is right in the middle of putting the waterworks on in the jail cell, obviously facing away from Buckley, and she instantly shuts off those tears to continue the negotiation. This is the strong front that she usually puts on to protect herself from facing vulnerability, etc. I thought this scene was incredibly well done.
Now let's get to Yong. He starts the episode off telling the Longzi Council that he wants to approach the 6 companies to get help with freeing Mai Ling. But according to one of the elders, the 6 companies won't help them since Mai Ling invested the tongs money without anyone's permission. The elders want to leave Mai Ling in jail because she's reckless. She didn't even consult with Yong, which is even worse. Compact agrees with the elders, and he tells Yong that things could be way different if they had a leader who served the tong instead of the other way around. Yong isn't giving up though, and he approaches Mai Ling's private investigator Clyde for help. It's simple. In exchange for releasing Mai Ling, Buckley wants the blackmail photo of him in the Civil War. Yong agrees to the deal, but obviously it's risky because once the photo is in Buckley's hands, anything can happen. Obviously, as mentioned earlier, Buckley does end up releasing Mai Ling. Yong tells Mai Ling that she can't be freelancing and making decisions behind his back because he can't protect her. She promises not to do it again, but then obviously does it almost immediately when she makes the deal with the Sahm. Yong feels betrayed, but then immediately is manipulated by Mai Ling when she asks him to marry her. Yong is happy, but you can tell from his expression that he can't now fully trust Mai Ling. However, the marriage proposal is enough to keep Yong on Mai Ling's side for now.
Yong. When is it time for him to wake up? Has he already woken up? This is a guy I have a lot of respect for. With that being said, all that sympathy goes out the window if he does not step in and take a stance in this Mai Ling situation. Look, it's his love life, but does that marriage proposal seem a little forced to anybody else? Like, it's hard to believe Mai Ling had good intentions with that idea, given the timing of it. Maybe she has a master exit plan we don't know about. She's dominated Chinatown, but Chinatown, to me, there's a pecking order here in terms of how much power people actually have. You have Buckley, who is a bigger fish as well, who can really make things tough for her, especially if he becomes mayor. But the fact that the 6 companies were brought back up is not a mistake. I do think we're going to see them having some kind of influence. Unless she has a way out, she might be in trouble eventually. I feel like Kong Pak is going to have an influence on the path he takes. He's kind of like that big brother figure to Yong. Let's just hope that he doesn't go down in flames with Mai Ling if that's truly what happens.
All right, now it's time to talk about Big Buck. He starts the episode off with a press conference to discuss the new Chinese deportation center, which seems to be humming along on all cylinders. However, he's still losing ground to Thayer. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Thayer is younger, hotter, and has a family. Even with the Irish vote, Thayer keeps gaining ground. Buckley tells Stewart that he better figure it out or he'll find someone else who will.
I suggest you do something about it, or I will find someone who can.
Buckley then obviously meets with Mai Ling in jail. Essentially, giving Buckley the photo doesn't buy Mai Ling her freedom. It just buys her a chance to then offer up more, which she ultimately does by assuring she'll keep peace in Chinatown, so Buckley has one less thing to worry about for his election run. Lastly, a very important piece in this episode, perhaps the most important, Buckley finally gets laid. He's alone with Catherine Archer when he confesses that he's not good at campaigning. He's not naturally comfortable in front of people, and he'd much rather prefer to be the man pulling the strings behind the scenes. But now he's become the fool and the puppet himself. Catherine Archer tells Buckley that there's nothing wrong with going for it, and then she seduces him. It's been a while since Buckley has gotten any action, but Catherine Archer puts that whop on him.
Wet ass pussy, make that pull out game weak.
The interesting thing about Buckley, like you've been saying, is all of these actions this season lead up to the election. Is there any way he loses the election? It doesn't look good, which sucks for Chinatown. His blackmail is now voided. Unless that Pinkerton agent goes rogue, I don't know. He looks like kind of a wild card, kind of a scumbag, so like maybe it could work out. That's a long shot, though. He's getting a little bit more momentum at his public appearances, and his whole squad is also a bunch of goddamn slime balls, so they're just gonna, do some really bad shit. I'm very concerned of the impact this could have on our characters in general. I'm not sure he stops at the bit of revenge he got on Mai Ling.
Now it's time to get to Chao. Woo boy. He starts off the episode giving us Sahm a lot of information, such as Mai Ling's release from jail, Young Jun potentially being deported in a few days, and that word is spreading that the Hopway are responsible for the counterfeit bills, which would trigger a Happy Jack becoming Angry Jack. Sorry guys, I gotta be corny sometimes. Anyways, Chao has a plan though. He visits Happy Jack and he brings him real money as an apology for the fake money the Hopway gave, and the money is meant for Happy Jack to kill Lee. Happy Jack has his own plans though, and he reveals the wanted poster of Lee. Jack plans to turn Lee in and collect the $500 instead. Chao then tries to take his bribe money back, but Happy Jack keeps the money as a fee for allowing Chao to keep breathing. The episode ends on a crazy ass note involving Chao. Lee and Mosley pull up to Chao's at night because Chao apparently has information for Lee. It's obviously a setup. Mosley gets shot at by one of Happy Jack's goons and Lee gets knocked out. Honestly, upon replay, it seems like Mosley is subdued, but we don't actually see him get shot. Anyways, let's assume he's subdued for now since he doesn't show up to intervene. All seems good for Chao until Happy Jack turns the guns toward him. He's still pissed off about the fake cash, and then he knocks Chao out. So now Chao is in some deep fucking shit.
The Winter Hill Warriors are and have always been big Chao guys. But this man's been running a risky game from the jump. Did he really think meeting with Jack after he gave him tons of fake money for drugs was a good call? Not the first time we've seen him close to running out of luck here. The question that comes to mind is, who saves him now? If I had to put money on it, I would say Sahm might be going on a rescue mission here. There's been a definite growth in their connection this season. Sahm honestly kind of goes to him, maybe not like a big brother, maybe more like a fun uncle, but he does look to him for a reputable source of advice here, and I don't think he'll leave him hanging. And I think that having Chao as a loose end is also extremely risky for their operation too. So hopefully we get a little Sahm as John Wick rescue mission here.
Obviously now we got to get to Happy Jack as well. He first gets the apology payment from Chao and then agrees with the plan to set up Lee. But Jack is now apparently a man of principle, and he's not letting Chao get away with having the audacity to fuck him over in the first place. Jack gets 2 knockouts towards the end of the episode, catching both Lee and Chao in the back of the head with his rifle. Happy Jack is on a mission this season.
I kind of like that name, Angry Jack, that you gave him.
I know. But it's the principle of the thing.
What is his actual plan here? I think that it was kind of telling that he only knocks out Lee and Chao. He might want money. He might want a bargaining chip. He might want power. Hell if I know. I mean, Jack is wild. With Leary playing a more white-collar role this season, we needed that. We need a little side villain capable of chaos that, everyone's a little bit afraid of and you're not sure what he's going to do next. But ultimately makes the show more exciting.
All right, now let's do a quick discussion on Lee. He and Mosley start the episode at the print shop, interrogating Yi Chen for information on the stolen plates. Lee is being polite while Mosley is destroying the shop. This triggers Yi Chen's illness, and the old man crumples to the floor, coughing. Lee tells Mosley that obviously the man doesn't know anything and they should leave him alone. Lee later on spends some time getting drunk and bonding with Bill, then as mentioned earlier, gets set up by Chao and is now presumably being held hostage by Happy Jack. This is very bad for Lee. If Jack successfully turns him over to the authorities, Lee is as good as dead. We'll see if he gets out of this.
Instinctively, Lee does not deserve to go out like this. Does Bill step in somehow now that he is technically unemployed? Selfishly, I'd love some kind of Bill and Sahm dual alliance next episode to free Chao and Lee, but it feels like the kind of thing that's too good to be true. Goddamn, what an incredible spinoff that would actually be. Could you picture that? Unfortunately, HBO would probably spend more of their money marketing The Idol Season 2 than actually pushing that show.
Don't worry, guys. We didn't forget about Big Bill. We're always going to discuss Big Bill in an episode recap. Bill's arc in this episode is very simple, but quite rewarding. He starts off by being on another police raid where Atwood is just being a fucking maniac. He's beating up Chinese people like hotcakes and purposefully separating mothers from their children. Bill thinks it's completely evil to do that, but Atwood doesn't care. He wants the deported Chinese to send a message back to China to basically not come to America. Bill is then fed up and throws his badge on the ground, quitting the force. That same night, he shares a drink with Lee, and they both bond over realizing that the game is rigged. Bill then grabs lunch with Lucy and tells her that all he wants is for the family and kids to be back together. He tells her that he left the force and he's willing to do whatever it takes. Being a cop for Bill was originally about being a better man, but it only made him worse. Lucy kisses him and Bill has his family back. Tears in my eyes.
Give the man his flowers. Shout out to Big Bill for standing up to his shitty ass boss and for saving his marriage. Big W for Big Bill. Let's go. But I'm not ready to lose you yet, Bill. Not yet. And none of you are ready either. Admit it. In fact, drop where you think he's actually going to end up in the comments, because there is a 0% chance that Big Bill stays out of the fighting for the rest of the season. I've seen a lot of people that think he might end up working alongside Lee, and that makes a good deal of sense. Curious to know what the rest of your thoughts are, though.
All right, on to Atoy. Not a super prominent Atoy episode, but she basically breaks up with Nellie and tells her not to visit the girls in Chinatown anymore. Nellie has staked out additional land to do the whole vineyard thing again, which honestly makes sense, but Atoy doesn't want to make the same mistake twice. Also, Lai is furious at Atoy and basically blames her for everything that's happened. Typical mother-daughter shit. She then attacks Atoy but gets disarmed easily. Atoy then tells her that they will indeed get revenge on Douglas. Fuck yeah, but right now, neither of them are ready.
Yeah, usually people try and go for the "it's not you, it's me" line to let somebody down easy, but Atoy just said, fuck it, no, it is you, and basically just kind of cast Nellie aside there. I think what Nellie was trying to do, her heart's in the right place, and her thoughts are pretty sane, but Atoy has just been burned too many times. It was interesting to see her in the back seat for this episode, but she's clearly just processing all that's gone on around her while still playing the mother role for Lai. Probably trying to think about what the best path forward actually is. Maybe revenge is in the cards, maybe it isn't.
Lastly, I'll finish up with Yenmi. She witnesses Lee and Mosley interrogating her father and destroying the shop. Well, Mosley destroying the shop. Our boy Lee obviously is too much of a gentleman to do stuff like that. She then consoles her father and plays dumb when he asks her if she knows anything about what's going on. Yenmi is then pissed at Sahm and needs him to go get the plates out of her room. It's a tough situation because at any moment the old man could enter her room and just find the plates in the press. So she's pretty much walking on thin ice and working with borrowed time. She's now involved in this scheme whether she likes it or not.
Yeah, whenever you talk Yeon-mi, it's always so interconnected with whatever Sahm gets up to. If Sahm can't actually get those plates moved, if he can't take enough time to actually make sure she's good, she might just be better off ditching town immediately. It might be easy to put together that Lee and Mosley had investigated her father's shop just before both were either shot or taken hostage by Happy Jack, so it might be time to ditch if things close in on her and Sahm can't actually protect her. Given that we know she's been saving up money by taking money from the counterfeit stash, that is either going to be what gives away that she's been part of the counterfeiting and be like a fatal flaw that comes back to bite her at the end of the season, or it could also be a mechanism that allows her to plan for a life after Chinatown in some capacity. She definitely wants to avoid the fate of the classic gangster's girlfriend, which occurs in most movies and shows, and I don't think she's going to be sticking around for the long haul if Sahm can't shape up a little bit.
So yeah, that pretty much does it for episode 5. Wild episode. Certain characters like Leary and Strickland were left out, but I think that's because most of episode 5 was focused on really just exploring how both Mai Ling and Young Jun get out of jail and how the Hopway and the relationship between them and the Longzi changed moving forward. But as usual, guys, thanks for watching. We appreciate everyone who comments and participates in the discussion. We will be back soon.